Hi, my name is Chris Morales, and today I want to ask you guys, have you ever put yourself in a situation or a position of a homeless? Or have you ever asked yourself or thought about the struggles they face every day? I myself used to be stereotypical about the homeless, and I believe they were all under the influence of drugs, and they chose that life. That wasn't until I saw my dad inviting them to eat, helping the homeless, and this was when I realized that not all homeless chose that path. Today, I will be persuading you to be compassionate towards the homeless by going in depth with the research that I have done and my own personal experiences. In persuading my audience to be compassionate towards the homeless, I will discuss the problems they face, the cause of poor and physical mental health, and solutions we can find for them to be better later on in life. First, the obstacles homeless face. According to an article, Getting It Together, Social and Institutional Obstacles to Getting Off of the Streets, retrieved June 8, 2020, some obstacles homeless have a hard time dealing with every day can be a shortage of low-income housing, lack of jobs, and most importantly, being discriminated amongst everyone else. For example, if a homeless were to walk into a fast food restaurant or a retail store asking for a job, they would, the supervisor or the person in charge would immediately ask them to leave, or they would tell them that they are not hiring at the moment when they have hiring applications outside. This is because of the physical appearance and what they are come to be known as. Not many people will hire, you don't see many people hiring homeless people due to the physical appearance or where they are in their state of life right now at that moment. Now that I have discussed obstacles homeless face, I will discuss the causes of homelessness and finally how we can lend a helping hand. Second, causes of poor physical and mental health. According to an article or book titled, A Roof Over My Head, Homeless Women and the Shelter Industry, published by University Press of Colorado 2016, states that homelessness has a strong connection with poverty in complex and straightforward ways. It has to do with the differential educational opportunities given to the rich and poor. Say, for example, this is important because if you were to go to a rich part in your city or in your state, the rich kids are more exposed to higher educational levels. They have everything. They have tutors. They have clubs. They have very high academic programs that they can join. They always have that thing that they can rely to next at the tip of their hand. Whereas a poor kid going to school, going to a public school, they are experienced with difficulties along the way with finding how they're going to get there, if they're moving the next day, or the situations, the problems they have at home. It can be hard for kids that are in the poverty to deal with going to school. I know as growing up, I had many friends that would constantly move from houses to houses because their parents couldn't pay for the bills anymore, or they couldn't pay for the housing. This is important because moving from houses to houses or from schools to schools can affect the way or the teaching that the kid is inheriting or learning off of, because they are constantly having to deal with the situations and problems at home from moving. Furthermore, a journal article titled Discrimination and Mental Health Problems Among Homeless Minority Young People, published by Sage Publications, Inc., January 2010, is stated saying, homeless adolescents experience higher levels of mental health problems than younger people. Factors that could have linked to mental health homes include family conflict history or physical or sexual abuse and deviant peer groups. While growing up, a kid is exposed to many things because of the public school they attend or the way they have been growing up. In their homes, they could have been physically or mentally abused, which around that time the kid feels alone and they find a group of friends that they think are their true friends, but they're here smoking, doing drugs. As we see here, a kid is smoking, as acting like he's a old man that is allowed to, an adult that is allowed to smoke. And we see here next to him a kid grabbing his hand, I believe, off wanting to smoke as well. This is important because it comes to show that if kids are down this pathway, it can be very hard for them to be back up and to not get addicted easily. And once a kid is addicted, it can have a hard time for them to be able to accomplish their goals in life. According to an article titled Social Determinants of Health, an interdisciplinary approach to social inequality and well-being, retrieved June 8, 2020, is stated saying, largely associated with mental health problems, substance misuse, and psychotic disorders, influence both the experience of homelessness and the likelihood of a successful resettlement. This is important because many kids are grown up to, for like example here that I have listed, they have hard situations in life that led to substance abuse and they found it hard to recover from it, or it could have possibly been that they could have possibly been homeless as a child alongside with their parent and they were never able to succeed the way they wanted to. They could have also been influenced towards that direction of the substance abuse and they just got too addicted that they were never able to go to rehab or just stop doing the drugs as they would wanted to. And finally, been in a broken home where they were forced to try and escape and make it on their own, but they simply couldn't. And from there, their life spiraled downhill. This is the most important one that caught my attention because there's most kids that when they are physically and mentally abused, they have to rely on themselves. They are expected to learn and to make it on their own because their parents aren't always going to be there for them, as we see that they are constantly being abused by their parents, and the kids can feel like there is nothing else, so they stop going to school, they stop showing up, they stop trying, and next thing we know, they are at a young age being on the streets. Having learned the obstacles they face and the causes of the situation they are in, it is imperative we learn how we can lend a helping hand to these homeless people. Lastly, ways to help homeless. In the article, How Any Person on the Street Can Help a Street Person by Chambers, many experts disagree with what Chambers recommends due to the fact that they don't have much money for the funds. This is important because the people in this article believe that there wasn't enough money to fund homeless shelters or give money to corporations that help the homeless. But I found here, as I was reading in the article, some small things you can do, any person everyday thing they can do. Doesn't have to be big, but it can be offer them a meal, give them money, help out a homeless shelter, give them everyday necessities. And simple things like this can come to show that a person doing this every day can make the homeless feel better about themselves, but also about society, and that they should, even though they are in this situation now, their life will not always be like that, and they can get out of that situation. In conclusion, today my goal was to persuade you into being compassionate towards the homeless. In doing so, I have discussed the problems, cause, and solution to help the homeless, but to also change your view towards them because they are not all the same. And to end this presentation, I want to leave you guys off with a quote by Conley D. The more we learn about the street homeless, the more we come to see that popular stereotype of a shiftless bum is an accurate way to describe the majority of individuals who make up this population.